Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we are going to talk about Emmet and how Emmet actually speeds up our HTML and CSS workflow. We will see some examples of how to use Emmet while building our projects using HTML and CSS. I guarantee you, if you use Emmet abbreviations, you will greatly improve your development speed twice as what you have now. So if this sounds interesting, make sure you watch the video till the end. Also, make sure you subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we are going to see is the Emmet documentation. So this is the official website of the Emmet, and here if you click on the downloads, then you can see that we can download Emmet plugin for a lot of text editors like Sublime, Atom, Notepad, and if you are using any of the online editor, then you can use Emmet in JS Fiddle or CodePen as well. But so I'm going to use a Visual Studio Code, and in Visual Studio Code, Emmet is already embedded in the editor itself. So I don't need to download a separate plugin and then install it. So one more thing you can do, you can see the documentation of the Emmet, and in the documentation, you will find a link on the cheat sheet. And that cheat sheet, you can download it as a PDF, and it contains all the Emmet abbreviations that you can use for your development purpose. I will not be able to cover each and every Emmet abbreviation in this video, but yes, we will be seeing a lot of examples of how to use Emmet while actually developing our projects. So let's jump to the code and let's try some Emmet syntaxes. Let's understand what Emmet abbreviation offers and how we can actually speed up our development. So I will jump to the Visual Studio Code. All right, so I have an empty HTML file, and the first thing you must have noticed that I do a boilerplate of my HTML, and to get the boilerplate of the HTML, I just write the exclamation, and when I write the exclamation, you will see that there is a dialog, and the dialog says Emmet abbreviations. And if I hit enter, then I will get the boilerplate code, and there are tabs enabled. So you can see the current tab is on the content. I can, if I press a tab, then I can go to the initial scale, and then I can go to the document. So I'm going to edit the document, and I'm going to give a title as Emmet. Okay, and if I press the next tab, I will directly jump to my body tag. So in this way, you can create the boilerplate in no time. So let's see some of the basic HTML tags, how we can use the basic HTML tags with the Emmet. So if I want to have a div, I just write a div and I hit enter. So if I hit enter, you will see that my cursor is already blinking in the content section of the div. So I can simply type anything here. So similarly, you can also use, if you want to use a paragraph, you just need to type P and then you can hit enter. Similarly, if you want to have a H1, then you type H1 and you hit enter. In this way, we can also use for the section. So if we want to have a section, I just write SEC and I hit enter. So some of the basic tags have Emmet abbreviations. Like if I want to have a block code, I will write BQ and I will hit enter. And similarly, if I want to have a header, then I will write HDR. And for footer, I will write FTR. So in this way, you can get all the HTML tags using Emmet abbreviations. The next thing is we usually add classes when we write the HTML tags. So let's see how we can add the classes. To add the classes, we just need to write div, and then the way we write the CSS using the period or the dot. So I'm just going to give a dot and I'm going to give a class name, and I will write my class. And if I hit enter, then I will get a div with a class in it, and name of the class is my class. You can also add multiple classes. So if you want to have a multiple classes, you can use div dot class 1, and you need to have another class. So you can hit enter and you will have two classes, and this way you can add n number of classes you want. So I'm going to have a class 1, I'm going to have class 2, I will have class 3, and if I hit enter, then I'll getting 3 classes. So these are the classes, and the next we will see how we can add the ID to our tags. So if I want to have an ID, I will just use HDR for my header, and for the ID I'm going to use hash symbol, and after that I'm going to give my ID. And if I hit enter, I will get a header with ID as my ID. So if you want to add the ID and the class both together, then you can actually do with the HDR. Then I need an ID of my ID. Then I also need a class of my class. So you can add the ID and class both on the same tag. Next, I want to show you is how you can actually add a content in the tag. So let me add a content in the tag. So I'm going to write HDR, and in the header I need to have a ID of my ID, my class, and then I need to add a content in it. So for the content I will add a curly braces, and inside the curly braces I can actually write my content. So I will write header, and if I hit enter, then you will see that there is a content in the header tag. So similarly, if I have a paragraph tag and I need to write a content in the paragraph, this is a paragraph, and if I hit enter, then I will get the content in my paragraph. Next thing I want to show you is how actually you can add siblings. So if you want to add a siblings, so I'm going to add a header. So HDR for header. After the header, I need a navigation bar. So I will have a navigation bar. After navigation, I need to have a section. And if I hit enter, then you can see that the navigation bar and the section and the header are siblings to each other. Similarly, if you want to create the complete structure in a one go, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a section, then I'm going to have another section, then I can also have the footer, and if I hit enter, then I will get the complete page structure. Next I want to show you is how actually you can do the nesting. So I'm going to have a header HDR, and then I'm going to add a navigation bar as a sibling. So this is my navigation bar. Inside the navigation bar, I need to have a UL, which is an unordered list. And then I need to have an LI, which is a list inside it. And inside the list, I want to have a anchor tag. So if I hit enter now, I'm going to get a navigation bar with the UL with an LI inside it and then anchor tag in it. So in this way, you can actually do the nesting of the tags. Next, let's see how we can use the climbing abbreviation. So what I'm going to do is I will write a div tag, and the sibling of a div tag will be another div tag. Inside the div tag, I'm going to write a paragraph, and inside the paragraph, I'm going to have a span tag, and inside the span I'm just going to use em. Now if I want to add another tag, but that tag should be sibling to my span, so for that, if I want to climb up back, then I use a caret symbol, and after that I can write let's say I need to have another span. So if I hit enter, then I will be getting a span and another span as its sibling. So if you can see here, then you can have a paragraph tag. Inside the paragraph tag, you have a span, and then we added another span which is a sibling to the span. So if you want to climb up, you actually use a caret symbol. Now you can also do that if you don't want to add a span here and you wanted to add another sibling to this p tag, then when I write one caret symbol, then I go one level up, but I want to go a two level up, then I'm going to use two caret symbol, and now if I enter a p tag, then this p tag will be a sibling to my another paragraph tag. So let me hit enter, then now you can see that it's a sibling. And similarly, if you want to go more level up, then you use one more caret symbol and you write a div. So now this is going to have a div. But there is a better way of doing this part, and that is called grouping. So let me show you how actually you can do the grouping. Now, if we want to add the grouping on the same example, then how we can add the grouping? So I want this div to be 3 level up, which is 1, 2, and 3, and this one is. So I'm going to wrap this complete in a round brackets. Okay, and then I'm going to add a sibling to it. And now if I hit enter, then I will get this in the sibling as a div. So let's see one more example. So okay, so in this example you want to add a paragraph. So this paragraph should be a sibling of this p tag. So when what we are going to do, we are going to wrap this completely, and then we are going to add a tag here, and if I hit enter, then this p will be the sibling of the another paragraph tag. So in this way you can actually do the grouping using the round brackets. Next thing I want to show you is the multiplication, and it's very useful when actually suppose we are building the navigation bar and we need the 5 menu items. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a nav and I'm going to give a class of main menu, and inside the menu I'm going to have a UL, and inside the UL I'm going to have an LI, and I need 5 menu items. So I will just add an asterisk and I add 5 to it, and then I will get 5 LIs here. So this is multiplication. And next thing, that if you want to have an li 5 LIs and you want to have an anchor tag in it, then you can also use this with anchor tag, and now you will see that you have an LIs and there is an anchor tag in each of the list for the menu item. We can also do the numbering. So let me show you how actually you can do the numbering. So if I add a content here, I'm going to write an item, and I'm going to use a dollar, and if I hit enter, then you can actually see that I have an content with the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this numbering you can also add it to your classes. So if you want to add the numbering to the classes, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have an item here, and then I'm going to do a dollar, and then if I hit enter, then I'm going to get a li with the class and item 1, item 2, item 3, 4, and 5. So this way you can actually do the numbering. The next thing I want to show you is how actually you can add attributes. So if I have a paragraph tag and I want to have a attribute as title, then I'm going to use a paragraph. Okay, and if I hit enter, then I'm going to get a title attribute on the paragraph. So similarly, if you want to have a paragraph and then also you want to have a content in it, then you can also do that as well. You can add a curly braces and then you can add the content in it. So now it's a paragraph along with the content and the title. So some of the tags, you will see that they already have the attributes. Like if I use an anchor tag and if I hit enter, then anchor tag will automatically have an href to it. Next I want to show you is the implicit tag. So the implicit tags are, you can think that if you have an unordered list, then it's obvious that there will be a list inside the unordered list. So for that, even if you don't use li, it will automatically add a tag. So if I have a navigation bar and inside the navigation bar I have an ul, and if I want to have an li now, and I will not add li here, but I can simply write a, I can simply add a class to it. Then if I hit enter, then you will see that there it will automatically take an li and it will give a class of list to it. This is an implicit tag. So you can also use the implicit tag when actually you are you want to build the table. So for the table, what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to have a table, and inside the table I will have my tr, which are the rows. So I'm going to give a class of dot row to the tr, and inside the tr I'm going to have a td, which will be a column. So then I can use a call here, and if I hit enter, then I'm going to get a structure of table row with the class row and a td with a class call. So these were the implicit tags. The next I want to show you is the how you actually use the lorem ipsum dummy content. So if you want to have a lorem ipsum dummy content, you just need to have a paragraph tag, and inside the paragraph tag you can simply type lore, and if you hit enter, then it's going to give you some dummy text or some dummy content. And you can also restrict the number of words you want in your dummy content. You can use lore 5, so it's only give you the 5 words. So this was the lorem ipsum. Now let's see some of the Emmet syntaxes on the form elements. So if I want to create a form, I simply write a form and hit enter, then I'm going to get the action attribute by default. But now you want to have a form, but you also want to have a method, then you can use colon and you can use get. Then you will get a form with an action and a method as get. And similarly, if you want to have a post, then you can use the post. And what about the input text? How we can do the input text? So for the input text, you just need to type an input. And after input, you can see that you can use colon B as button, colon C as checkbox, color, date, time, email, files. So you have a long list of all the Emmet abbreviations that you can use. So if I use this P, then I'm going to get a input with a type as password. And then you can simply type the name as password, and you can hit tab, and then you can give a ID as password. So that's how Emmet will help you to speed up your development. You don't need to type each and everything. It's going to give you the skeleton. You just need to know the Emmet abbreviations, use them. So you will get along with these Emmet abbreviations, but you will need a little bit of practice. So now let me give you an example of what we have learned so far. Let's apply everything in a single syntax and let's get the complete page structure. All right, so I'm going to paste an HTML structure here, and this is the HTML structure where you have an header, you have a navigation, you have an UL, you have an allies, then you have a section, then you have another section, and a footer. So this is a basic page structure, and if we want to create this basic page structure using the Emmet abbreviations, let's write the Emmet abbreviation of this page structure. All right, so to write the Emmet abbreviation of the complete page structure, what I'm going to do, first I need to do a grouping and I need to have an header with a class of header. After the header, I need to have another grouping of my navigation. So for the navigation, I have a navbar, which will have an UL, which will have an li. Then in the li, I'm going to have a class of item, and I'm also going to give a numbering to it. So I'm going to use a dollar, and then I also need to have a content in it, and the content will be item, and there will be a numbering to the content as well. After that, I need to have 5 LIs. So I'm going to write asterisk and then 5. We are entering to the sections. So for the section, I need to have another grouping, and I'm going to use a section here, and it will have a class of section. I also want to give a numbering to it because I'm going to have a multiple sections. So I'm going to give a numbering to it, and I will have 3 sections. And inside each section, I want to have an H2 tag. So I'm going to do an H2, and the content for the H2 will be, I'm going to give a heading 2. And after the heading 2, what I want, I need to have a paragraph tag. So I'm going to use a paragraph tag, and the content for the paragraph will be, this is a paragraph. And after the paragraph tag, I need to have an input tag. So I'm going to use an input, and the type of the input will be text. And after the input, I need to have a sibling of a button in it, and I'm going to give a class of primary, and the content of the input tag will be a submit. So I'm going to use submit, and after the submit, I'm going to close this grouping, and after that I'm going to have a footer. So I will write an ftr, and I'm going to give a class of footer. So this is the complete Emmet abbreviation of our HTML page structure. Now if I hit enter, I'm going to get the complete page structure. So now you can see that this is the page structure. So you don't need to waste much time writing each and everything. If you use Emmet, you can do it this in no time. And you will get to know more Emmet abbreviations as you practice more and more. So it's not that Emmet abbreviations is limited to the HTML itself, but you can use the Emmet abbreviations for CSS as well. So let me show you some examples for the CSS. I'm going to use a style tag here. All right. And I'm going to just give a class. Okay. Now, if I want to have a color, then I just need to write a C and enter. I will get a color. If I want to add a background, I'm going to use BG and then I will get a background. And similarly, if I want to use a background color, then I'm going to use BGC. It's going to give me a background color. So let me show you. If you want to use a padding, then you just use P and you hit enter. But now if you want a padding of 10 pixel, I'm going to use P and I'm going to write 10. It's going to give me a 10 pixel padding. So for if I want to add a padding right, I will just use a PR and I need a padding right of 10 pixel. So this is going to give me a padding right of 10 pixel. For positions, if you want to use positions, you just use POS and you hit enter, you will get the positions. So this is how the Emmet abbreviation is powerful, and if you are a web developer, then I recommend you that you should know the Emmet abbreviation so that you can speed up your development 2x times what you have as of now. So that's all we have in this video, guys. I hope you like the video. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Also, let me know in the comment section that how much abbreviations you use and how helpful these abbreviations to you are when you actually do the development. Thanks for watching.